Testing, 1, 2, 1, 2. Am I proud of my work, or am I feeding the algorithm? Am I making what I want to make, or am I feeding the algorithm? It's something I think about a lot. The algorithm is very powerful. The algorithm persuades us to make decisions, to have our content reach more people. But those decisions, sometimes it's not the content that we feel most inspired to make. Sometimes it's not the content that moves us. It's not the content that gets our dick hard. It's not the content that we really are passionate about. Sometimes I fall victim to following the algorithm, and I know other creators suffer from this mindset as well, where you see so much shit. There's so many catchy headlines and subtitles, and everything is filtered through this algorithmic, I don't even know what to call it. It's like this funnel where you take an idea. You have the idea in your head. I had an idea in my head for this video, and you know exactly what you want to make. Maybe you have it planned out. Maybe you wrote your notes out. If it's a video, maybe you made a plan. You made an outline. If it's a podcast, maybe you have research and a couple pages of notes in front of you. You have quotes. You have things you want to hit. Whatever it is. If it's a podcast, video, article. You have this thing in front of you. You have a plan. You start thinking of it, and all of a sudden you start to put action to that idea, and then it starts to take on a life of its own. I'm gonna pick my nose a few times during this video. It's feeling extra itchy today. And then somewhere along the creative process, the algorithm starts to hijack the way that I make content. And sometimes it happens 10%, sometimes it happens 80%. But the algorithm, it's this force, and it's more than just numbers. It's more than just the binary code on YouTube or Twitter. It's something that takes the network of creators. It's something that takes the community of global creators, and it unites people. And it's not always in such a great way, because everyone sees what's blowing up. You're on TikTok and you see what type of videos blow up. You see the trends. You see what the algorithm is pushing. You see the videos on YouTube. Sometimes the top videos on YouTube have super flashy thumbnails. Like 5 or 6 years ago, every video I saw on YouTube that did well had this super, catchy thumbnail title with like an explosion and like someone's eyes going like this, or like some obscure photo where you didn't know really what was going on, and everything was very clickbaity. And then there was a version of YouTube where the thumbnails were very minimalistic, and the text did not do well, and people see that, people react to that. And one of the reasons why I like podcasting so much is because it seems more removed from the algorithm than a lot of other things like IG Reels or YouTube. I have the podcast on YouTube, but a lot of it's also on Spotify and iTunes, Overcast. There's the audio aspect to it, and then the audio aspect, it's on a network, but it's not really. People aren't commenting on my episode on Apple. They're not commenting on my episode on Spotify. It's I kind of just put it out there. It does what it does, and then I make the content that I want to make. I record the content I want to make, and it seems like when I'm recording conversations, I'm further away from that algorithmic pressure, and I like that. I like that a lot. And then when it comes time to chop that episode up and make it social media ready, and I go on, I make it into reels, I make it into photos, I make it into YouTube clips. Then I start to ask myself, like, did I fuck up with this podcast? Did I fuck up with this conversation because I don't have these segments that are built to fit into perfect YouTube titles? I don't have these super catchy, dramatic, clickable segments of the podcast. Did I fuck up? And there was a period in my life where I pushed all of that away. I've been podcasting for about 3 years, and I pushed the algorithm away. I said, fuck it. I'm not going to give a shit about it at all. And then I downloaded TikTok, and then I was super into the algorithm and chopping up clips and making videos that would do well on TikTok. And then I got off TikTok completely about 4 months ago because I felt like I wasn't having the conversations that I wanted to have on the podcast. I was just kind of feeding the algorithm. And I asked myself that a lot. Or I ask myself that less now, but I still ask myself that is, am I making what I want to make, or am I making something just because I think it's going to do well with the algorithm? And I think the answer, and it's always evolving and changing for me, but I think the answer is both. To me, there's a way, the foundation will be I make the content that inspires me. I make the content that, gets my dick hard. I make the content that makes me laugh or cry or emotional or, whatever I'm going for in that conversation. Sometimes it's all three. I interview scientists, I interview designers, I speak with other podcast hosts. So the conversations differ, but the foundation, what I've found, first you have to talk about what you want. You have to find the people that you're interested in, not necessarily, the trendiest topic or the person with the most followers, but who are you genuinely interested in? Because you can't fake curiosity. You can fake it for 2 minutes or 5 minutes or even 10 minutes, but you can't fake it for 2 hours if you're doing a 2-hour podcast. You legitimately have to be fired up to interview that person. So that is square one for me. I want to talk to someone that does cool shit and also wants to talk about it. And then once I've figured out who I want to talk to and kind of the arc of the conversation and the things that I want to hit, then I open the window of the algorithm. Then I let the light from the algorithm shine in a little bit. And I've found a balance now where I set the foundation first. I remove myself from the algorithm. I just think about, what the fuck do I want to make? If I wasn't even going to put this out, what would I really enjoy? If this wasn't going on YouTube, or if this wasn't a recorded conversation, or if it was a recorded conversation that I wasn't going to release, what would I really want to do? And then I open the window of the algorithm and I let some light shine in. And I ask myself, how can I use the algorithm to enhance this? I've just planned out a conversation that is interesting to me and exciting to me. Now, how can I break this up that may enhance and exaggerate, or exaggerate's the wrong word, but allow this conversation to reach more people? Because ultimately that's my goal. I want these conversations to reach as many people as possible. Some people will like it, some people don't. That's fine. It's not for everybody. But I think about, once I have that initial foundation, then how can I, spruce it up a little bit with the algorithm? Maybe I have 10 topics about a person that I want to interview. Let's just say, say Ariana Grande. I've never had Ariana Grande on the podcast. That'd be fucking amazing. I would love to speak with her. But let's just say, one of the things that I wanted to get into would be, I'm making this up, but like, she had a serious vocal cord injury when she was a teenager, and that affected the way that she approached singing. So maybe her style was influenced by an injury earlier in her life. So once I have that down, then maybe I would ask myself, okay, I have this interesting aspect of Ariana Grande's life. Now, what would a very clickable, exciting, attractive, sexy YouTube video look like getting into this topic? And so I have the general topic, and then maybe I start to think about titles for the video. This is the thing that changed. For example, this is the thing that changed Ariana Grande's singing career. That's not. I could do better than that if I thought about it. Or, Ariana. The injury that Ariana Grande overcame, the vocal cord accident, like something that is maybe a little clickbaity, but it's still the truth. It gets across the point of what I'm trying to convey. And so it's kind of a roundabout way of saying that I definitely struggle with making the shit that I want to make, and also being aware of the algorithm and not letting the algorithm overtake my creative process. And I've gone through the spectrum of completely letting myself be taken by the algorithm, by shunning the algorithm out of bitterness and being like, fuck this, my content deserves way more views than this, or way more downloads, which it doesn't. I don't deserve shit. I'm grateful for the audience that I do have. I started out with 30 downloads, I think, the first podcast I ever made, and now I get a few thousand per episode, which is fucking incredible. Thank you if you listen to the podcast, either the AUXORO podcast or the AUX. I love you guys for listening, and if you haven't listened, definitely check it out on the YouTube channel. But I've come to this point where I realized that I push away the algorithm because in part I was pushing away myself. And I have to accept the fact that the way that people consume content in the social media age is algorithmic, and the algorithm will change, it will evolve, it is out of my control. And the best thing that I can do, the only thing that I can do, is look at the algorithm right now. What is the algorithm right now? What is it doing? What is it saying? How is it pushing out content to people? What is the thing that I want to make right now separate from the algorithm? If the algorithm didn't exist, if YouTube, social media, Apple Podcasts didn't exist, what do I want to make? What conversations do I want to record? What do I find fascinating to me? And then I bring the algorithm in only to enhance the conversation. I use the algorithm to my benefit. Once I figure out what I want to do, then I start to let the light of the algorithm in, not to control the conversation, but to enhance. That is the point that I'm at now, and I like it. It's taken me a while to get there. But it's like, how can I take the shit that I really want to fucking do and then enhance the way it reaches people by using the algorithm? Enhancing over control. I used to be controlled by it. Then I was still controlled by it because I said fuck the algorithm, even though I was still putting out content. If you're putting out content, you may say fuck the algorithm in your head, but you're still subjecting yourself to it. And so the only thing you can do is learn to use it to your advantage. So whatever you make, whether it's podcasts or articles or cooking, you have a cooking channel, you make fitness videos, whatever it is, my insight, and I won't say advice because I'm not going to fucking tell you what to do. I don't really believe in telling people what to do, but what I have learned, and maybe you can take some small part of this solo episode, is that separate the algorithm from the product, separate the algorithm from the creativity in the early stages as best as you can. I don't think it's possible to get a complete 100% separation because you always know that the algorithm is there in the back of your mind. But in the early stages of the process, when your idea is a baby, just fucking forget about putting it out there. Think about what you want to make. Then as you have a solid foundation for that video or for that podcast or for that blog post, then start to think about, okay, what are the ways in which I can add some phrases or words or thumbnails or just things to make the algorithm just fucking like sink its claws into this video and be like, yes, like I'm gonna show this to fucking 400,000 people. Like, once you have the foundation, ask yourself, how can I let the algorithm work for me? Don't work for the algorithm, let the algorithm work for you. That sounds like I have a fucking real estate channel telling people they can make $1 million by tomorrow if you sign up for my free course that's $3,000 shipping. Don't work for your real estate. Let your real estate work for you. Don't work for your apartments. Let your apartments work for you. I promise you will be on an island in Bali sipping margaritas, even though they don't really drink margaritas in Bali. I think that's more of a Mexican thing. But still, if you listen to me for this absolutely free course of $3,000, I will show you the key to life. And the key to life is turning the lock. And on the other side of that door is my free $3,000 course. Thank you guys for listening. I'll talk to you next time.